Hello, I'm Jaden from XLR Security, and today we're going to be unboxing and taking a look at this brand new camera from Uniview. This is the IPC8645EA. This camera has 4 sensors. Each of the sensors is 5 megapixel, and each of the individual cameras can be aimed. You need to manually aim them, but you can also zoom in the cameras after the fact from the NVR or web interface. So let's get right to it and open it up and see how it looks. Okay, so this is the box that it comes in. It's a pretty large box. Let's get it opened. Looking inside, we have the drill template for the holes where you're going to mount this. This is the mounting plate for the camera. Inside, you will also find a 60-watt PoE injector for the camera. This camera is pretty hefty, so you do need 60 watts. Anyways, it comes with a 60-watt injector. Looks like it also comes with some alcohol pads in case you get your fingerprints on the camera, you can wipe it off, as well as the networking guide, a Allen key to take apart the camera, and some mounting screws and drywall anchors. Okay, but let's get on to the camera. Let's see the camera itself. Alright, so this camera is pretty large and pretty hefty. It weighs about 4.8 kg or 10.5 pounds. Around the edge of the camera, you're going to see 6 security screws. So we're going to have to get this open. As we can see, there are 4 cameras. You could have all 4 cameras pointing in the same direction, so we get 180-degree coverage, or you could have cameras pointing in different directions. Whatever your requirements are, this camera is definitely very versatile. You can also rotate the lens of the camera, so if you want to rotate it 90 degrees, you can set the camera into corridor mode, or you can just leave it in the default position. And if you want to angle the camera, you must loosen these 2 screws on the side of the lens. With the screws loose, you can gently adjust the camera's angle into the position that you want it, and then go ahead and tighten those screws to lock everything in place. Each of the cameras has its own IR emitter. This is 50 meters or about 161 feet infrared. There's also an IR emitter at the bottom of the camera, so this is angled downwards, giving you full 360 degrees coverage of infrared. There's also a microSD card and reset button. Now, on the back of the camera, we have a very large cable harness. This is one of the most comprehensive cables I've ever seen on a security camera. So first of all, starting with this one, this is a 24-volt AC power connector. So if you don't have PoE++ at your site, you can use 24-volt AC to power up the camera. And there's also a grounding pin. The yellow and green is for grounding. Then we have our standard RJ45 connector. So this camera takes PoE++, which is 60 watts. But as you're going to see later in the video, we may not actually need all that power. Just a quick side note regarding power consumption. I found that this camera consumes around 15 watts of power during the day and just under 30 watts at night with the IR lights turned on. This means that theoretically, you can force the camera into day mode, install it in a location that's lit 24/7, and power it with a 30-watt PoE+ switch, saving a bit of cost and complexity rather than using a 60-watt PoE++ switch. However, if you plan on using the built-in IR, you should definitely follow the PoE++ requirements for this camera, otherwise it may not work properly. Anyways, let's get back to the video. We have 3 alarm inputs, as well as 2 alarm outputs using these alarm terminals. We also have an audio input and output for connecting to an external microphone or an external speaker. And lastly, most interesting, we have DC 12 volt output. on this camera. So you can actually power an external device such as a siren or strobe light directly through this camera. So it doesn't need its own separate adapter, which will save you on the cabling and save you on time. Pretty neat. Right, so that's enough for the camera itself. Now let's get this thing mounted so we can actually see how the image quality is. Alright, so my plan is to install this camera at the corner of our warehouse right here at this interior wall. And in order to make it corner mounted, we're going to need a couple of the accessories from Uniview. All these brackets are going to attach together and allow this new camera to be corner mounted, as you're going to see in a couple moments. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is attach this UF45 bracket to the back of the camera's mount. So I'm going to flip it upside down. Then we need to line up where it says front and front. These need to go together. And then you're going to line up the holes here and here. Next thing we're going to do is put the corner bracket up here, right at the corner of this wall. Now we're good. Right, now that we've got our corner mount all ready to go, we are ready to put the camera onto this. So I figured the best way to do this is to make sure that you have this black piece here lined up with this lip on the edge of the camera here. And you also want to make sure that you have this metal harness attached, just in case you accidentally drop the camera, it's not gonna fall and break. Okay, so plug in the camera. It should turn on, and again. Two of these screws, one over here and one over here, and those are gonna fully secure the camera in place. Now the camera is fully mounted, but before we put the cover on, we want to make sure that we aim all of these lenses exactly where we want them to go. The lens on this camera can only be tilted between 0 and 65 degrees. This means that it cannot look straight ahead. The lenses will always have a slight downwards tilt. This is important to keep in mind when designing projects, and it may not affect you at all, but I hope that Uniview can improve on this aspect in the future. So I have put the camera on my phone on the Uniview Link app, and I'm just going to use the app to help me point the cameras. So please bear with me. This may take a couple minutes. I'm going to fast forward through it. Like a puzzle piece. And then it's time to tighten all the screws around the edges. And here is the camera, first time that we're seeing it without the cover on, and it looks pretty nice, pretty decent. So that's how you install one of these Uniview multi-sensor cameras. Not too difficult. The only part was a little bit annoying was trying to get the IR sticker off. Other than that, it was pretty much straightforward. And now let's see a little bit how the camera looks and see how far we can zoom and see the image quality. So that's pretty much it for this amazing new multi-sensor camera from Uniview. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't get to show in this video, including the low light performance of this camera, the infrared performance of the camera, as well as the analytics and detection, and lastly, the zoom capabilities and image resolution of each camera. I'm going to expand upon this further in a later video, which you can consider as part 2. But for now, I just wanted to show you what this camera is capable of and what it looks like and how you can install it for yourself. If you enjoyed the video and if you want to see more expert security content like this in the future, be sure to like and subscribe. That's it for today, and I hope to see you in the next video.